The time has truly come. We've talked about it in 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, and then 2024. Trump comes back and runs as the crypto capital of the world, the Bitcoin president, and bringing all crypto to America. The great financial reset is here and now. First, they resist it, then they sue it, then they regulate it, then they join it. Welcome to joining and regulation phase. What's going to happen? That's from Draper. What's going to happen now is you're heading into full adoption. Then you're going to go into full, tokenization. Now remember, before 2023, I'm going to show you a video with Larry Fink right now. Before 2023, they told you that this was a pet rock. It was used for money laundering. Even Trump said in his first presidency that he didn't believe in cryptocurrency. So you have to logically think about this. You have to be non-emotional, and you have to be ready for a very bumpy ride. You have to put the long-term horizon on, and you have to ask yourself, what is going to be here when all the dust settles in 2030? So what I do on this channel is I keep you calm, I keep you stoic, and I repeat the same things over and over and over and done, because that's how winning is done. You don't change your mind every 5 seconds. You don't panic sell when the markets are going red. You buy when it's red, and you exit a little bit when it's green, and you build a massive ecosystem. So on the back end of every video, I share with you my exact ecosystem, okay, repetitively. But today's video, what I'm going to show you is Larry Fink once again saying when countries are debasing their currency, Bitcoin's a good hedge. I'm going to take you deeper and give you all the connections. We got Howard Lutnick. We got Bo Hines. I'm going to show you all these connections happening. We got Ripple linking up with Securitize and all the big things that are happening right now. Got the hidden road transactions going on. There's so much happening right now, the rewiring of the financial system. And there'll never be a moment where we get to invest in the rails, okay? So let's watch the first video, and then I'm going to start to tie everything together. On the back end, I'm going to share with you how I manage my finances through this and how we became financially free and how we build cash flow for life. All right, so let's dive into this. So the first thing we're going to watch is, it says just in 13. That's wild, guys. Remember when I was telling you about this in 2020? It used to be 10 trillion, and then it was 11 trillion. $13 trillion under management. That's bigger than most countries' GDPs, okay? They are the number 2 holder in Bitcoin now. Let this sink in what I'm saying. 13 trillion under management. They're bigger than most countries' GDP. Larry Fink sits on the board of trustees for the World Economic Forum, and he's the interim head of the actual World Economic Forum. They said you're going to own nothing and be happy in 2030. Well, most Americans own nothing right now, and they're miserable. So pick your road, guys. Okay? He says you own crypto if you believe countries are going to debase your currency, and that's what's happening. Countries are debasing their currency, and they're going to suck it up into cryptocurrency, deflationary assets. Check this out.
If you believe that countries are going to continue to debase their currency, if you believe that there's going to be global rise of insecurity, owning crypto assets or gold are assets of fear. You own these assets because you're frightened of the debasement of your assets. You're worried about your financial security. You're worried about your physical security, and between crypto assets and gold, they believe there's a strong belief that is a good hedge against optimism. Okay?
Boom. So they're telling you exactly what they're doing. So that's what I did. I moved my family's assets into fixed supply assets, which I'll explain my capital DR at the end of this video. But let's go a little bit deeper. There's a rewiring. So what's happening is the elites are positioning in gold, silver, Bitcoin. Some of them are going into certain cryptocurrencies, deflationary assets as the financial system rewires itself. Okay. The US dollar's lost 11% purchasing power just this year, 24% from 2020 to 2024. Since 1913, the US dollar's lost 96 to 97% of its purchasing power. Okay. Remember, markets do the same thing over and over and over again. Everything has a cycle. Crypto is a 4-year cycle. Real estate is an 18-year cycle. And we just finished our 18-year cycle. What happened 18 years ago? 2006 to 2008, the biggest housing collapse in our history. We're in an 18-year cycle. We'll see what happens with the housing market. They're going to drop interest rates. Okay. The markets are going to boom. Money's going to flood like water. They're going to print more money than in history. What goes up must come down. So get ready for 2029. We're predicting hyperinflation in 2029. Okay, so let's continue on here. Securitize. This is really massive, guys. So throughout this, I'm going to highlight some things, okay? It's because we really got to understand the game and how we need to flow our money so we make sure we protect our wealth. Securitize to become a public company at a 1.25 billion evaluation. Okay, so I'm going to highlight some companies here. Okay, so we got ARK. I follow Cathie Woods very deeply. We got BlackRock, Morgan Stanley. Okay, transactions valued at securitized at 1.25 billion per money equity value, with existing securitized equity holders rolling 100% of their interest in a combined company, including ARK, BlackRock, Morgan Stanley, and investment management. Okay, so let's continue on down here. So this name I keep sharing with you guys. You got to pay attention. This name right here. Okay, you guys remember if you're doing your homework? I wish it was live. I could ask a question. Cantor. Who is Cantor? Cantor is Howard Lutnick. He is our commerce secretary. Our commerce secretary is going to be a billionaire in Bitcoin as the price goes up. His son, Brandon Lutnick, took over Cantor. Cantor is a custodian for Tether. Bo Hines stepped down as the executive director for digital assets, went and brought Tether, the largest stablecoin in the world, 90% of the stablecoin supply, which uses U.S. treasuries to balance out the market, brought Tether into America, USAT. So now we have an American Tether, okay, which is 90% of the stablecoin market. Trump has the fastest growing stablecoin, USD1, and Ripple has a stablecoin called RLUSD. So they literally stabilize the US dollar through stablecoins. They're going to suck all of the US dollar into digital dollars, which is the stable coins. They're going to use Bitcoin to shrink the balance sheet. They're going to revalue gold, in my opinion, on their side from paper gold in 1974. They're going to revalue it to current day value, and they're going to buy Bitcoin in a budget neutral way. Okay. So pay attention to Cantor. Okay. We got Cantor here. Okay. We're going to keep watching these companies and follow the money flows. Okay. So I just wanted to show you that connection there. So this is a massive, massive thing where they're securitized going public. Okay. Now remember this: BlackRock linked tokenization firm Securitize to public via SPAC deal. So BlackRock is connected to this big deal. We got ARK, we got Cantor. Okay. Now you guys remember this, the announcement back in September 23rd. There's so much news coming out, so I want to recircle back to this. Ripple and Securitize enable RLUSD smart contract functionality for BlackRock's Build and VanEck V-Bill tokenization. Guys, they're rewiring the financial system right underneath our feet. Okay. Now remember, Ripple-backed Evernorth scoops up $1 billion in XRP ahead of its NASDAQ debut. Okay. So we got Securitize with a 1.25 valuation as they become public. Oh, this is so exciting. We got Ripple-backed Evernorth scooping up a $1 billion XRP ahead of its NASDAQ debut. Okay. So we're going to see the whole tokenization of the stock market, the whole tokenization of all assets worldwide. Now, let's take a look at this. Okay, so this is the markets right here, and I want to show you how I manage through this. What you see, okay, you see this volatility. You see red, you see green, you see red, you see this, okay? You see this wave of cryptocurrency, okay? So it feels very unstable to you. Now, I'm just going to share with you what I do, not financial advice, okay? You see in your bank account $100,000. What I see, the trick is you see $100,000 in your bank account. Oh, it's $100,000. I see that you lost 11% purchasing power. Larry Fink said it the best himself. When you're fearful that your country is debasing your currency, well, gold, maybe some precious metals, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, he said it himself. He's the largest asset manager in the world with 13 trillion. And he's the number 2 holder in Bitcoin outside Satoshi. Trump, out of billionaires, is the number 1 Bitcoin holder. And his son is now worth $180 million at 19 years old, Barron Trump, in cryptocurrency. Trump has USD1, the fastest growing stablecoin. They have WLFI, which is a decentralized bank that is a world bank. He said we're going to be on an even playing field monetarily before we know it. We're in the crisis stage from 2009 to 2030. The great financial reset is here from 1929 to 1942 was our grandparents' crisis stage. Pay attention. What happened in 1920s, the roaring 20s? Why did we collapse in 1929? People were over leveraged. They were over leveraged. They were borrowing, speculating. There was a rumor that the banks were going to collapse. There was only 11,000 banks underneath the Federal Reserve. Okay. They collapsed all the small banks. They monopolized the banks. The system has always been the same. 10-10, 2025. I told you guys there was going to be a black swan coming. Boom. They liquidated 19 billion in cryptocurrency. Oh, look at that. Crypto's not safe. Let's bring it under institutional custody. First, they resist it. Then they sue it. Then they regulate it. Then they join it. We're now in regulation and joining phase. So you have to manage and stomach the volatility. Now, here's my warning to you guys, okay? I wouldn't play games with my crypto. I wouldn't play games with my investments. I am focused on the top assets that I believe are going to be here guaranteed. Because when regulation comes in, look at this. There's on this right here, it says 36,000 tokens on this list. 99% of these are going to get wiped out. Okay. When regulation comes in, it's going to be very difficult for a lot of these projects to survive. So your favorite influencers is selling you the next best token, run as fast as you can, or put tiny bit of your risk assets in there. Okay. Be very careful. So here's what I do. Okay. So I'm going to break this down. This is our demo account here for Merlin. Okay. So I focus on, let me bring myself on the screen a little bit here. Okay. So I focus on what's called Capital DR. I focus on cash flow. Okay. I move my cash flow. Now, how do I create cash flow? I have cash generating businesses. Okay. I developed those in the last bull run. As we came out of the last bull run in the bear market, I didn't buy Lambos, houses, cars. I built businesses and built cash flow. Okay. Then I discovered cash generating dividends, which are like, oh my God, this is much better. I'm passive. That's true passive income. So I become very obsessed with dividends because I don't want to work until I die. If you can't make money while you sleep, you'll work until you die, Warren Buffett. And I'm not relying on Social Security. I ain't relying on nobody to take care of my family. So I generate cash flow from businesses, and you would be generating cash flow from your earned income by trading time for money. We all are trading time for money right now, right? So when we get money for trading time for money, it's someone else's debt. Larry Fink said it the best, right? You're getting paid. If you're worried about them debasing your currency, then you might want to transmute your currency into something that's going to hold value. It could be gold, it could be silver. So I take cash flow from my dividends and cash flow from my companies outside of my bills and debts and non-negotiables. I run lean and mean. I take all the excess, that's what I do, and I put it into A, capital DR, A, appreciating assets that have fixed supplies. Okay. I use Bitcoin and XRP as number one and number two. XRP is number one. Bitcoin's number two. They are fixed supply assets that have a deflationary component to them. Bitcoin's the most scarce asset in the world. America wants to buy 1 million, 5% of the supply, and 1,700 a day are being bought, and only 450 are being mined through treasury companies. So it's the most scarce asset in the world. So I'm storing, like a savings account, my Bitcoin, my cash in Bitcoin that grows 50% every year. I'm not going to get my biggest bang for my buck. 50% per year is insane. When I hear people say you can't build wealth off Bitcoin, it's like, you're out of your mind. So 50% per year. So we're going to move Bitcoin over into the L category in capital DR. Okay. Altcoins, all other cryptos. Okay. When they appreciate, I hold 50% forever. Okay. Legacy. So everybody's like, oh, you're selling? No, I don't sell all my XRP. 50%. I exit on the way up. We're not rubberneckers. I don't watch the markets go up and down. I build cash flow machines. So when I exit, okay, I take 10%, boom, back into dividends. So say if I took out 3 million of the crypto market, 300,000 is going into dividends. To do what? To create more cash flow. To do what? To de-risk back into assets. Then protection. The next thing out of that 3 million would be max funding my cash value life insurance. Okay. I'm creating a family bank, protection of my principal, and L, leverage. Did you see everybody get liquidated on 10-10-2025? They're all trying to be like Michael Saylor, and they thought they could, beat the market, and they got liquidated. Be very careful, very, very careful leveraging your digital assets in cryptocurrency. Black swans like 10-10-2025 will come again. I promise you. As they bring it underneath the traditional banks and they want institutional custody, they need a reason. So there will be more black swans like that. I promise you. And if you think you got it all figured out and you're borrowing against your assets, or someone's convincing you to continue to borrow against your assets unless you have liquidity on the side, a lot of liquidity to right size that loan, because when these markets come down, they come down fast. Trump made one announcement on 10/10 and it collapsed the market. Think about that. The biggest liquidation in crypto history. And you know how many people? $19 billion was lost. The reason why is because they leveraged their crypto to buy more and they took all their crypto. So I use insurance. Now I used Bitcoin. Now I'll share with you what I did. If I use my Bitcoin, I only use 25% of my overall Bitcoin portfolio. Then when you put it on a DeFi platform, they're only going to give you about 70%. So if I'm using 25, they're giving me 70% of the 25. So my liquidation risk is super low, super low. But we bought our insurance firm that way because we had other cash just in case something happened. We could immediately pay that off. And that's the only reason we did that. And because the firm was already generating income. So I could pay that off really quickly. And it's paid off already. So I quickly pay it off. On the digital asset side, you got to be very careful because we got a long run of volatility, guys, which is our gift. That's where we're getting the big return from our money. Money compounds every 7 years at 10%, right? We're compounding money like, we're getting an average of 65% return if you average out the returns per year. That's crazy. Okay. So then we got leverage and we got DR, de-risk, 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 de-risk. So I'm in higher risk dividends, synthetic option calls, right? That are paying me. God, it's insane how much they're paying us. But I don't play games with my money. If I'm making a larger amount of money off any protocol, I de-risk out the cash flow. And guess where I put it? XRP and Bitcoin, increasing my bags. That's my exact process. My top 7 cryptos are XRP by a long shot, company and personally. Bitcoin, Solana, XLM, WFI, HBAR, and VChain. And I have other cryptos. I have Algorand, I have ADA, I have Gala, I have all these other ones, but that's my largest chunk in percentage. My largest chunk is concentrated in XRP, Bitcoin, and Solana, and it will always be that way. And I'm going to consolidate into the top 3 pretty heavily. And XRP will always be my number 1 holding. But I also am diversified. I'm not just all in on one asset class. That's very, very dangerous. So how do I exit? So this is I'm the co-founder and creator of Merlin. And down below in the description of my video, you can download it and play around with it for 30 days for free. That's how confident I am in our product. You click the link in my bio, my social media. You can download it for 30 days for free. We show you how to set up profit-taking plans, okay? Look at this. It's all you like. This one's a 99% sell, 1% hold, right? That's just an example. You can put whatever you want. And then it builds it out, tells you how many tokens to exit based on your tax professional. You put in your tax liabilities, tells you how much you'd pay in taxes. We send you an alert when you get close to your targets. We teach you how to set up profit-taking plans. We have education videos. We have direct customer service. You can actually talk to a human being. How novel is that, right? And so look at all the assets you can connect. Now, the cool thing about this, all the exchanges you connect, it's just an interface. So nobody can get access to your crypto on here. So when I'm traveling around and I'm outside of a unsecure Wi-Fi, I use Merlin, the smartest way to track your crypto. Nobody can hack into anything. They hack into Merlin, they hack into data. They can't get your crypto because it's not connected. You don't trade on it. We actually send you a physical alert when you're getting close to your target. And you go to your exchange and you safely exit the market. So I love you guys. I hope this helps. I'm going to keep bringing this information to you guys down below as well. You can join our Education Academy. Be very careful. That's not me on WhatsApp. That's not me on Telegram. I will never proactively DM you. There's thousands of scammers out there with using all influencers' names. Anybody in the financial space, no influencers DMing you. I know you think you're talking to us. It is not us. They're using AI technology. I do not invest people's money. Okay. I have an insurance brokerage called Freedom Insurance. We're brokers for insurance. We teach people how to do cash value life insurance properly. Okay, that's in the description of my video here on social media or in YouTube or on social media platform. Click the link. You can set up a free consultation with my team. I have the 3T Warrior Academy. It's an education academy where I teach Capel DR. We're educators. Okay, we empower you to make decisions. We don't manage your money for you. Okay. I show you my portfolio. I show you my dividend strategies. I show you everything in Capel DR, right? Or you can just watch my videos. I pretty much share everything. And a lot of times some of the things I don't share super openly because there's a lot of de-risking that has to happen. If you don't understand how to de-risk, it's very irresponsible for me to share certain things. It's like, man, you have to learn how to de-risk. Everybody's like, go leverage my crypto, go do this. It's like you have to understand the risk to that. You have to understand how to beat inflation. You have to understand hurdle rates. So listen, if you're borrowing at 10% off your digital assets, okay, guys, inflation is around 10%. So you got to make sure whatever you're pulling out, if you're paying your bills with that, you're literally deflating. Like you got to make sure that whatever you're pulling out is going to pay that back, right? Or you better hope that there's not some black swan on this side because it's so volatile, or you need to make sure that something's beating the hurdle rate, right? So when I'm borrowing off my insurance or I'm borrowing off my Bitcoin at low leverage, I'm buying something that's going to pay it back, something that's going to beat the hurdle rate, or into a dividend that's producing 20, anywhere some are producing 70%, the synthetic option calls, but I'm de-risking back in. So I know that's a lot of information. That's a tough stuff. I literally have a huge whiteboard I teach inside of our academy. So I love you guys. I appreciate you. Down below, you can join the academy. Click the link in my bio, and we'll see you on the inside. Warriors, let's get your shit together. Love you. God bless.